Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute. The verse I have been assigned is verse number 6. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya aham krishnasya jagata prabhavas pralayas tatha. So we go to word by word meaning. I'll read and you repeat after me. Etad, these two natures. Yonini, whose source of birth. Bhutani, everything created. Sarvani, all. Iti, thus. Upadharaya, no. Aham, I. Krishnasya, all inclusive. Jagataha, of the world. Prabhava, the source of manifestation. Pralaya, annihilation. Tatha, as well as. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshuru Nipilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyas Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharya aham krishnasya jagataha prabhavas pralayas tatha. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation, and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation is the gigantic universe. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of Supersoul Vishnu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combine to manifest this gigantic universal form, are originally two energies of the Lord. And consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, namely the living entity, may be the cause of a big skyscraper, a big factory, or even a big city, but he cannot be the cause of a big universe. The cause of big universe is the big soul or the super soul. And Krishna, the Supreme, is the cause of both, the big and small souls. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. This is confirmed in Katha Upanishad 2.2.13, Nityo Nityanam Chetnas Chetnanam. That's the end of the purport. So, there are two sentences in this translation. All created beings have their source in these two natures. So, these two natures have been talked in the previous two verses, last 2 days you had. One is Krishna is talking about his material energies, 5 gross and 3 subtle. And then next verse talks about the living entity and it's called the superior energy. Because why superior? Because it sets in, it activates the matter. Without the touch of superior energy, the matter cannot act on its own. So that is said in the beginning of the purport, that everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Whatever we may see, like not only, and here also in the verse 5, living entity is not just human being, anything, cow, buffalo, animals, whatever it is, like cat, dogs, any living entity. Whatever we may see around, and what we see here is, it falls in either of these two categories, either in the category mentioned in the verse 4, earth, water, fire, air, ether. These 5 are gross elements and 3 are subtle, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And then there is this superior energy of Krishna, which is called the living entity. So, Prabhupada is making a point that material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. So, matter comes from spirit. The spirit doesn't come from matter, as the material scientists thought so. And Prabhupada has a book on it, Life Comes from Life. And not just life comes from life, even the matter comes is coming from spirit. Here the explanation is given, like the material, the Mahat Tattva by itself is matter. It's set into motion by Mahavishnu. Unless Mahavishnu impregnates the Mahat Tattva, it does not set into motion and the material world is not created. So, within the Mahat Tattva, the soul is Mahavishnu, and within us, the living entity, our body is also matter. It's made of those 5 gross elements, and also we have those 3 subtle elements. But within us, the living entity is the soul, which is Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. And Krishna is the source of both, not just the matter and spirit, but also the source of both these souls, Mahavishnu and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. There are 3 Vishnu, and there is another one, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu also. So, if the spirit were not to be present, then our body would not grow. Then it's a dead matter. Sometimes child grows, takes birth, but he's born dead. So that means the spirit is not there. The spirit and matter which combine to manifest this gigantic universal form are originally 2 energies of the Lord. So originally everything comes from the Supreme Lord. That's another point. That's the second part of the verse. Krishna says, I am both the origin and the dissolution. Now, if he is both the origin and the dissolution, what is the natural conclusion? That he is the controller. He's the owner. Like if this material world sometimes is manifested, there is both these, the matter as well as the living entity, both are eternal. The Prakriti is also eternal and Jiva is also eternal. But they manifest and unmanifest. Our body is destroyed at certain point, but the living entity, the soul, is never destroyed. It's neither created nor destroyed at any point. But there is a point when it is unmanifested. It enters into the body of Mahavishnu. And then at some point, it again manifests again with his past, because of his past karma, the living entities gets a new body. But how it happens is because Mahavishnu is there. Otherwise, from Mahatattva, nothing can manifest on its own, because it's dead matter. So that shows that Krishna is the owner and the controller. So if Krishna is the owner and the controller, then what is our duty? Before I move on to that point, I want to say another thing. Yeah, about this Mahatattva. Like it may appear like living entities are coming from Mahatattva, but it is actually because of Mahavishnu. About that, Prabhupada speaks in chapter 14, verse 3. It's like scorpion, if we see in the bag of rice, we may think the scorpion has taken birth from the rice, but it is not true. At some point, scorpion might have laid his egg in the rice, and then we may see a small scorpion in that, and so the egg was laid there. So scorpion doesn't take birth from the rice. So similarly, the living entity doesn't come from the Mahatattva, or even universes don't come from any Mahatattva. Everything comes because this soul is there. Mahavishnu, the soul within Mahatattva, and we are also growing, or here Prabhupada says child grows to boyhood and then to manhood. We grow because there is spirit within us. There is active spirit within us, which is the soul. Without the presence of soul, the body is a dead matter. Yeah. And so if Krishna is the owner and controller, our duty is to naturally serve him. Because right now, under the influence of false ego, I think I am the owner. We want to lord over everything that we see. But if we understand this verse, or so many places Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava in 10.8, that he is the source. If he is the source, then everything should be used in his service. Like we build a house, and if the workers say, because we build the house, let us stay there, we would not agree. Because we would think you just put your labor into it. But I provided the material, I paid the cost for it, I would think like that. But just by paying some currency, I don't become the owner. Even actually that's the false sense of proprietorship. Because actually nothing belongs to me. Even this house, this building, nothing can be, the labor may gather the brick, cement, and use some water and to put in the shape of building, but the basic material, earth, water, fire, Krishna said, it is my energy. So if everything comes from Krishna, they should be used in Krishna's service. And if we are not doing that, then we are thieves. It's not proper not to do it, but under the influence of false ego, we have a false sense of proprietorship, and we think whatever we can possess, we have a sense of possession, that this is mine, what belongs to this body, or even this body belongs to me. Even this body actually does not belong to me, because the body is composed of these 5 elements or even 8 elements, which are mentioned in 7.4. So if the body is is a product of Krishna's energy, it should be used in Krishna's service. There is no other option, and if we are not doing that, then we are getting entangled in the laws of karma, by the laws of nature, and which is very natural. We have heard that the desire to enjoy keeps us in this material world. So we have to give up that enjoying spirit. In 5.29, Krishna says, he's the Bhoktaram yag tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhitang sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. So he is the supreme enjoyer. We are also minute enjoyer. We can also enjoy, but we can enjoy as prasad. If we try to enjoy unlimitedly or thinking ourselves as the owner, our attempts will be frustrated. We have always seen that. We have been frustrated time and again, but still there is some hope that maybe if the situation was a little different, I could have enjoyed. I heard from Burijan Prabhu, he said, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj said, when one is fully convinced that there is no possibility of becoming happy in this material world, he has taken the greatest step in spiritual life. Krishna is saying time and again, Dukhalayam ashashvatam anityam asukham lokam. Both are same things, same used in different terminologies are used, but it means same. Anityam asukham lokam and Dukhalayam ashashvatam. Anityam is ashashvatam and Dukhalayam is asukham. So Krishna is saying this material world is not a happy place, but we are trying to find happiness in this world. This is our foolishness. But there is a way to become happy even while being in this world. And how is that possible? If we stop identifying ourselves with the body. The ABCD of Bhagavad-Gita is we are not this body. We are the souls. If we understand that we are souls, part and parcel of Krishna, then our only duty is to serve the whole, Supreme Lord Krishna, because everything belongs to him, he is the controller. Like in this, here even within the state or the country, if we follow the government rules, we are good citizens. But if we do not follow, then the law comes into enforcement, and then police may have to take action, which may not be pleasant. And then we may not like it. But who created the situation? We do not understand that the living entity, creates such situation themselves. So, by becoming a devotee, Prabhupada gave us this process that how the matter can be converted to spirit. Matter is dead by itself, but since it is Krishna's energy, it can be spiritualized if it is used in Krishna's service. In 3.9, Yagyartha karmano anyatra lokoayam karma bandhana. So everything should be offered as sacrifice. The food we have, our intelligence, our body, our strength, everything. Sometimes, like Prabhupada gives example of Rupa Goswami, giving in the mode of charity, in the mode of goodness, 50% should be donated to good cause, to Krishna consciousness. And then people think 50% is too much. But if Krishna is the owner and controller, how much should he get? 100%. But even 50% we are not ready to give. It's painful. And people try to understand how much is this 50%? Is it 50% of income, after tax or before tax? Or is it 50% of my savings? Of course, Rupa Goswami was doing at the end of his career. So it's kind of 50% of savings. But we have example of Kolavicha Sridhar, who was doing it even while he was earning. So it's 50% not just of the saving, it's 50% of earning. And actually this 50% is also Prabhupada is asking us less. Because if everything belongs to Krishna, everything should be used in Krishna's service. Everything means everything. But then the question may come that we have to live, we need some money. Yeah, Krishna has allowed us to use something in Ishopanishad, mantra 1 says, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Taktena Bhunjita Ma Gradha Kasya Siddhvanam. So Krishna has given us some quota, something to, he has allowed us, very kindly allowed us to use something. Like father allows his son, his children to use his property, Krishna has allowed us to use. But we have to use it consciously, very consciously, as much as we need. What is our quota? As much as we need, not to be greedy and just accumulate. This accumulation is not, I would say, it's not a principle of devotional service. It shows that we do not have faith in Krishna, that Krishna will take care of me tomorrow. Only when I think that Krishna may not take care of me tomorrow, I have a tendency to accumulate for tomorrow, day after, and how many years I live, I do not know, so I go on accumulating. This is not good. So, we should not accumulate too much. We should only use as much as required. If we know some expense is there, which is upcoming, and suppose we have got some Lakshmi from somewhere, then we may keep it for that purpose, but not accumulate for unforeseen expenses which may come. Because Krishna takes care. Krishna says, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Those who are fully engaged in my service, ananyas chintayanto mam, those who are always absorbed in Krishna's service or thinking about Krishna, then Krishna takes care. And if we do not have faith, whatever we may accumulate, that will not ensure that we will be happy. Because, and this material world is meant to frustrate our attempts. Because Krishna is very kindly waiting for us to go back to spiritual world. He has designed the material world to frustrate our attempts to be happy with the material energy, with the material things. So, we must learn to how to spiritualize the things, how to engage them in Krishna's service. So, in this context, I would go to chapter 4, verse 24. Which talks about how to spiritualize the things. The purport is very nice, I'll read it. How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to the spiritual goal is described here. There are various activities in Krishna consciousness, and all of them will be described in the following verse. A conditioned soul entangled in material contamination is sure to act in material atmosphere. Yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. For example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of bowels due to overindulgence in milk product is cured by another milk product, namely curds. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in Gita. The process is generally known as yagya or activities, sacrifices, simply meant for satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by complete absorption. The Lord is spiritual and the rays of his transcendental body are called Brahmajyoti. His spiritual effulgence, everything that exists is situated in that Brahmajyoti, but when the Jyoti is covered by illusion, Maya or sense gratification, is called material. This material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering, or the contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the result, all combined together, Brahman, or the absolute truth. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter dovetailed for the cause of absolute truth regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, is said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yagya, or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer of the leader of the performance, and the result of ultimate gain, everything becomes one in absolute, the Supreme Brahman. This is the method of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada gave us this Krishna consciousness. Actually, it started from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada gave us this Krishna consciousness, and he showed us how everything can be engaged in Krishna's service. I mean, generally people would think that to become Krishna conscious, we have to be intelligent to understand the Shastra, or we have to have Brahminical qualities like becoming a pujari, doing deity worship. But Prabhupada showed anything and everything, whatever qualities people had, that could be used in Krishna's servings. Like there were devotees who were nicely doing painting. They did such nice paintings, and which are part of Bhagavad-Gita and other books also, Chaitanya Charitamrita and all the books. And these paintings also play an important role in our movement. I think many of us are attracted by those pictures, such beautiful paintings that gives us vision of the spiritual world. Because even these paintings were guided by Prabhupada. They are based on Shastras. The devotees who have painted it, they are not just artists. They have read the verses and then tried to depict that mood into the paintings. Similarly, about the musician, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra must have been there, has been there, not must have been there, it has been there. But where had we heard such nice kirtan before ISKCON? So everyone is attracted to ISKCON kirtan. The Maha Mantra is there, of course. It's quite material consciousness, but when we like the melody, otherwise Krishna's name and Krishna, they are fully spiritual, but at least in the beginning we don't perceive the spiritual value, and we are attracted by good melodies, which is also good because just by chanting our consciousness is getting purified. Even if someone is not educated, even illiterate, but Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, just these 16 syllables, it's so simple, anybody can memorize it. And only 3 words, Hare, Krishna and Ram, and way they are put in order also is not difficult to remember. Even uneducated person can learn it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Just by chanting this syllable, this 16 syllable, our consciousness is getting purified. And even somebody who is illiterate can have all the knowledge of Krishna, and not that he may not be able to speak on a verse, or he may not be giving class, but all that is required to make advancement, to get out of this material world, how to get close to Krishna. Krishna gives that intelligence. If you serve Krishna, Krishna says, Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give them the intelligence. Yena mamupayanti te. How they can come to me? Krishna gives the intelligence, those who serve. So this is the natural conclusion. If Krishna is the owner and the controller, if he is the master, and if I am the servant, then my duty is to serve. And what is the duty of servant? He uses only as much as has been allocated as his quota. That means which is our need, we can use that and not stock beyond it, or even use greedily, use too much in material consciousness with the enjoying mentality. because that will again bring us distress. We think some material things can bring us happiness, but Krishna in chapter 5 says, Ye hi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha. Whatever comes out of sense perception is ultimately a source of misery. Whatever happiness comes from sense perception, that's ultimately a source of misery. And why is said in the next line? Because they have a beginning and end. So we want to have unlimited happiness. All of us, we want it, but the material happiness cannot be unlimited. The matter has a beginning and has an end, but we are spiritual, we are eternal, our quality is also like Krishna, we are part and parcel of Krishna, so we have similar qualities like Krishna. We are part of Krishna, who is such it Anand. So we too want to be Anand, blissful, but we are always being frustrated because we are trying to enjoy on the material platform. If we try to dovetail all our abilities in Krishna's service, we can be happy and we can be liberated even while being in this material world. Liberation does not mean end of this material body. In the introduction, Prabhupada quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, Muktir hitva anyatha rupena swarupena vyavasthiti. Mukti means to be situated in original situation, to be situated in original constitutional position, and getting free from this sense of proprietorship, because this proprietorship, the sense of proprietorship comes from false ego. I think I am this body and intelligence is mine. So anything I acquire by using this body or my energy, my physical energy or mental energy or my intelligence, it belongs to me and I should enjoy. That's the common mentality. But we just heard in the previous verses that everything comes from Krishna. They are Krishna's energy, both the material energy and the superior energy. Even the soul comes from Krishna. It's a part of Krishna, part and parcel of Supreme Lord. It's not independent, it's part of Krishna. So everything should be used for Krishna, then only we can be happy. And that's the process of Krishna consciousness, how to engage everything in Krishna's service. That's by sacrifice. We just now read the purport to verse number 4.24, which shows how everything can be used in Krishna's service, and then the matter also becomes spiritualized. How to give up this sense of false ego is described in verse 30, I think. Yes, 30 of chapter 3. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigajvara. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. This verse clearly indicates the purpose of Bhagavad-Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties may be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of cooperation of Supreme Lord, because of eternal constitutional position of living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute his order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Adhyatma Chetasa. Nirashi means one has to act on the order of master but should not expect fruitive results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in this world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of Mai or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called Nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the bodily relationship, that reluctance should be thrown off. In this way, one may become Vigadjwara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness, as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. So this verse shows how we can give up the sense of proprietorship. If we can give up this false sense of proprietorship and truly understand this verse, later in this chapter, Krishna will say, Buddhir buddhimatam asmi, I am the intelligence of the intelligent. And so even our intelligence, everything comes from Krishna. If we act under that consciousness, then we can be liberated even while being in this world. So our duty is to remember our position, the position of Supreme Lord Krishna, and then act accordingly, knowing that Krishna is owner and he is the supreme owner and the controller. Everything comes from him, and at dissolution they enter into Mahavishnu. So he is the origin, and actually does not mean destruction, because both the Prakriti and the soul, Jiva, both are eternal. So they are neither created nor destroyed, but they are eternally existing, but there is a origin. There is a origin and dissolution, that is point of manifestation and point of unmanifestation. So this happens, this is under the control of Supreme Lord. And if Supreme Lord is the controller and we are his servant, then if we act in this consciousness, then we can be happy and liberated even while being in this world. So this is what were my reflections. Now if you have some questions related to this verse, you can ask me.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You said the proprietorship, suppose if I am buying the house.
Yeah.
So
Prabhupada also says in Ishavasya.
that
Yes.
house will be in my name or anybody's name, because registration we cannot do in the name of Krishna.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. I mean, just having the name doesn't disturb the. It doesn't. I mean, if I don't believe it is me, it is Krishna's property. We use the house in Krishna's service as a temple. Even if we are married, then we may have other family members, and we see them as part and parcel of Krishna. Then it is not okay. Krishna gives us some quota. You have to live, whether it's temple building or your own house. But we may think ourselves that even that name, it's only for a short period, how long we are going to live. Our fathers might have made us some home and left for us. Nowadays, of course, people have lots of money, even in India. They are buying more than one house. Okay, for some time I live, I stay, and the house is in my name, and then I die. The house remains. Maybe it will go to our children if I have. Otherwise, the house remains. And where was my proprietorship? How can I control? If it was, if this house belonged to me, then I could control how the house is going to be used after me. But to some extent, yes, maybe I write in name of ISKCON or my children or my friend, relative. But thereafter, after a few generations, we don't even know. We don't know where we are going. Whether we are going to get even a human body, we are not sure. So where is this question of proprietorship? Some temporary proprietorship, some minute enjoyment. We also are minute enjoyers. Krishna is supreme enjoyer. We also enjoy. By eating something nice, we enjoy. So there is some sense of enjoyment. But it is not supreme enjoyment. We are not the supreme proprietor. He is the supreme proprietor. We are also secondary proprietor, like there is secondary creator. Brahmaji is secondary creator. But Brahmaji also comes from Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. So, and Garbhodakshayi Vishnu also comes from Krishna. Maha Vishnu, we just now spoke, from whose breathing, just from breathing, from his breathing, inhaling and exhaling, from the pores of his body, several universes are coming in and out. And this Mahavishnu is only a plenary portion of Krishna. So what's the position of Krishna? So he is the source of even these souls, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, Shirodakshayi Vishnu. He is supreme proprietor. We are also somewhat a proprietor, little bit. If I bought with my money or even somebody gave it to me, I use it for some time. I have some sense of proprietorship, but ultimately I should understand that it does not belong to me. Everything belongs to Krishna, and I should see ways how to engage it in Krishna's service. Am I clear? Does that answer your question? Thank you.
And one more, you are giving the example of the Scorpio in the rice.
Yeah.
So when the rice are filled up, they cannot see the eggs. The eggs are very small.
Yeah.
So how can we understand if the eggs are laid in the rice, or how it comes, the eggs are come there?
I mean, maybe eggs might not have been laid in the rice necessarily. It could have been that even in the paddy field, they were there. And from when it was removed from the husk, it came with that. So again, we don't have to believe what we see, because how much we can see. Sometimes in the cloudy days, we say the cloud has covered the sky. But how big is the cloud? And how big is the sky? The cloud cannot cover the sky. It covers only our vision. The clouds maybe are on top of the sky that we see around Vrindavan, maybe Mathura, maybe North India, maybe whole India, but world, how much, even the material sky is so big, how can it cover? So Shastra, that's why all our senses are defective. That's why we don't believe much on these eyes, not because we have not seen that the eggs were laid by scorpion. We will not believe it. We believe not by what we see, but we use our intelligence. Here, this example is given by Prabhupada. Otherwise also we use our intelligence, that how can scorpion take birth from rice? We don't see. I put it in another place, clean the rice and wash it, clean it and put it in another place. Leave it for few days, few months, few years. See it another time. Does some scorpion come out of it? That way we can test. So that can also show that it didn't come from the rice. So although we might not have been seen, might not have seen those eggs, the larva, the small mind. How much can I? Like right now, even I cannot read. To me, it feels like the letters are so small. Actually, because of my age, the eyesight is weak. That I understand that. Yeah, I used the same book before. I didn't need spectacle. But now without spectacle, I can't even clearly read if there is not enough light. With this light also, I cannot clearly see. So we don't believe what we see. That is material scientists' thought. That is their idea, that seeing is believing. But ours is Shrutekshita path. We try to see, we try to understand, see through the eyes of scriptures, from Shruti. These come from Krishna. The Vedas also come from breathing of Narayana. So we believe that, and not what material scientist has to say, or even sometimes I may be seeing something. Sometimes we see something and understand something, and although we are seeing the thing and understanding with our intelligence, we may not know what is behind it. So we may misunderstand something. Like in my Bhakti Shastri, one story was narrated, but it's not built up story, it's true story. One time, one devotee, I mean that time he was not even so much a devotee, but he used to visit ISKCON. And he came back from his college, came to ISKCON, the temple was closed, and then he went to Prasad hall. He saw some prasadis left over, he served himself. No, there was somebody who served him, and he was given rice, dal, everything, whatever was there. And then there is already a devotee who is taking prasad, and he sees in his plate there is a gulab jamun, and I have not got that. And then this first another devotee who is already having a gulab jamun, he directs the one who is serving, can you check if there is more gulab jamun? And this one is thinking, wow, see, he's a devotee because he's somebody with shikha, saffron. So he's thinking, see, he's a devotee, he already has one, and he's asking for another one. I don't even have one, and anyway, he's thinking in his mind. And he says, no, there is nothing. The buckets there didn't have gulab jamun bucket. Then he says, go and look in the kitchen. Then he goes and looks in the kitchen, and he comes back and says, no, there is nothing. Then he says, go and look in the fridge, and then he finds it, and he brings it. And then he's about to serve this devotee who was asking, can you get gulab jamun? Then as he's about to serve, he says, no, I wasn't asking for myself, I was asking to be served to him. So you see, although I was seeing, and I'm seeing myself, that how he's behaving, and I'm thinking, but he totally misunderstood. So we are speculating, we are thinking what he might be thinking. What do I know what is going on in his mind? So sometimes even though we may be seeing and understanding according to our intelligence, it may not be the right understanding. So we should give up this habit of being judgmental or trying to understand the things by our seeing. Somebody we might have heard is a very nice devotee, and then we see somebody is not behaving well, and then I think, why is he doing like that? But we do not know what is behind that. So we should not be just judgmental or try to understand the things just by seeing. Of course, everywhere we may not be able to see the role of Shastra, but just don't believe on what we see. Like the 4 defects, all the senses are defective and the eyes are also defective. So we don't just rely on the information gathered by our eyes. Is that okay? Thank you. Is that all? Actually, time is also up. So I think I should end here. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna.